2 hours quickly went by, as everyone gathered near a tree and left the training planes in organized fashion. Since the lessons for them ended an hour early, students could enjoy a bit of sun, and many of them were directed to the shopping center for some relaxation. Gail went back to his place, and Bale bottled Yuki as much as she could. Amy, Jane, Miku, and their new teammate Maria went out for coffee. 3 of the regulars ordered their coffee, while Maria wondered what to get. She doesn't drink any caffeine, except in tea on occasions, but she struggled to find anything on the menu that would suit her. "Why don't you ask for the caffeinated coffee?" asked Amy. "I also don't like the taste," Maria replied, with a mixture of embarrassment and sadness. It's fine, really," said Amy. "Not like we are going to treat you differently because you don't drink coffee, you know." "What about parfait? I have never gotten one myself, but they look tasty," said Jane. "Most of the stuff still has coffee in it, but surely they can make some without it." "Thanks. I would take that one." She pointed at the item on the menu and quietly hoped the cashier heard what they were talking about. Lucky for her, the staff was competent and used to all different behaviors, so her order was in safe hands. For Maria, it was less about the coffee itself than how awkward she could be with people. Talking to Yuki took a lot of courage to do, but in the end, his being distant and never looking down on anyone made it easier. Here, she was worried because this was the popular group of the class in school. Unbeknownst to her, being truthful about her taste and sticking to it, while small, is a sign of maturity and will reap respect. Going outside to the table, awaiting orders, Amy started a small talk. "So, what do you think of the school so far?" "I think it's nice." "What do you like about it?" Amy pushed. "I don't know. I think it's very clean and has good facilities." "True." Seeing how uncomfortable Maria was, Jane jumped in. "Also, there are plenty of books and materials readily available. We have everything we need without spending a lot of money." "That's nice too. But I think this is kind of oppressive." "What do you mean? This place is awesome. We have everything we need," Amy replied with enthusiasm. "Yeah, you are right," Maria replied and lowered her head. "Well, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. We cannot contact our families and friends. We don't use our surnames anymore. We cannot live in any way." Understanding a bit how Maria must have felt, Jane tried to make her feel more welcome and supported her view. "Have you thought what you are going to do after school yet?" "I thought about working in a deep ocean lab, studying marine life and microorganisms. It's not that interesting." "Actually, I think it's pretty fascinating," ruined her peace Miku. "With all the space exploration, human biology, and other phenomena on Earth, we still map only 40 to 50% of the ocean floor." "Right? We know more about the space than we know about our own planet." Excited, she spit out her mind. Catching herself in the act, she turned red and once again lowered her head. "Whoa, I didn't know that. That's so cool!" Amy exclaimed and wrapped her hand around Maria. "You can let loose a little bit." "She won't bite," said Jane with a smile. "What do you think we can find down there?" "I don't know, and I think that's exciting." Toned down, she slowly got used to girls and Amy's warm smile. "Deep sea gigantism is very interesting to me, and its limitations." "It does sound interesting," said Amy. "I heard sharks cannot get cancer. Honestly, animals are so interesting. I would never expect you, out of all people, to know anything except martial arts," laughed at her Jane. "Hey, I'm full of surprises," grinned wildly Amy, letting go of Maria. "Well, they can get cancer, it's just rare for them. They're an apex predator and in perfect shape for their environment. Because of this, their evolution is very subtle over millions of years." Awkward silence struck the group while the person came in and gave them their own drinks. "I'm sorry," continued Maria. You don't need to be sorry. We are just surprised, but I guess we shouldn't be." With Jane's laughter, the pressure was lifted from the air, and they all chuckled for a bit before enjoying the treats. "Stupid. Thinking someone would dislike you just because you have different tastes or are a little awkward." Miku thought to herself. But it's not like she knew how it felt to be rejected. There was also something else. A boy who would be silent and awkward, but also helpful, caring, and funny once you get to know him better. Real friends won't leave you if you are different. They accept you for who you are, right? Saying the bell is ringing is an understatement, as Mika's mind is filled with a carillon. Slowly, she started to connect the dots, but to her, the choice she made was still better in the long run. "It's so good," exclaimed Maria. "Right?" agreed Amy. "This is the best place in the city. We might have ruined your experience of any other place since we started from the top," added Jane, sipping on her coffee. "So, anyone like it in our class?" asked Amy after a bit of silence. "Amy!" shouted Jane while Mary was choking a piece of fruit. "But I'm curious. Then why don't you start? Break the ice for us." Irritated, Jane uncontrollably yelled at her. "Fine. I don't understand what's the big deal about it." Amy was very open and blunt. She didn't notice that talking about interests with someone new while being along the freshly single friend might be rough. I like you guys. I'm very happy with what I have and don't see myself looking for more, she smiled. What about you, Jane? Me? Jane started. I don't really think about any of it particular at all. I don't buy it. Do you, Maria? She doesn't buy it either. Amy laughed while Jane burned entirely. The person I like is so dumb, even if I said it, they wouldn't understand any of it, so. Angry and flustered, Jane pouted what Miko giggled at the situation. What's so funny about that, princess? Asked Amy. You are proving her point. How so? She was clearly confused, but only because she had different ideas. Anyway, Jane cleared her throat and continued. Also like the place and people I'm with. Wouldn't change it for anything. Sounds fun, smiled Maria. It's not like I like someone in particular. It's more of a curiosity. That sounds familiar, pointed out Amy while grinning at Jane. I can agree, but I also should say it's not the best idea as of right now. What do you mean? Surprised. Not because they realized who she was talking about, but because she didn't know the whole story. Aren't you two, like, pointing towards Mika and said if she should say it or not. No, not anymore, she responded nonchalantly. We have nothing going on between us, but I think Jane minded the bail situation. Yeah, I wouldn't go anywhere near her if I were you, added Amy. But, Maria, in normal circumstances I would say go for it, but bail is dangerous. Amy had some issue with her earlier, and Jane mentioned something too. Don't know what her aim is, but wouldn't want to be on her radar, Miko explained calmly. Wouldn't that put you as her main issue? Pursued Maria. I'm not the smartest and noticed a few things. Surely she did too, if you are right about giving her so much credit. Miko? Asked Jane. What is she talking about? What Yuki does is none of my business. If she has a problem with it, she'd better talk to him about it. I understand. But Maria didn't. Neither of what she thought of made sense to her, and there were things she did want to think about too. Sorry I brought it up. It's okay. I don't talk about it too much for obvious reasons. But there are still things we share with Yuki. Being put on the spot, Miku had to explain the situation vaguely enough. He still helps me with influence and stuff, even if I didn't ask for it. Both Amy and Jane were caught off guard by this. From what they thought, Miku ceased all interactions with him, but it seems like wasn't the case. On the other hand, was Maria, who was talking about her suspicions with lunches, but found out something entirely new. It wasn't outrageous, and they didn't need to push for more explanation, as it wasn't their business, but Miko kept on digging deeper into her lies. Still, I think Maria has a valid point, added Jane. I'm sure she can see to reason, hoped Miko. She'll be training me so she can help Yuki out. I'm confident we can work it out. Yet her voice wasn't confident at all. Stable, but lacked the strength of belief behind it. Silence followed. Jane knew how vicious Bale is, and Amy saw how strong she was. Maria only knew what she was taught, but could tell from their reaction that they were serious about it. Are you sure about it? Asked Jane. This doesn't sound like a good idea. I also don't like this. What if she's planning something? Added concerned Amy. I appreciate that you are worried about me, but you don't need to be that paranoid. Haha, laughed it off me. She's not some criminal mastermind and manipulator. Another pause, full of silence in the discussion. All four of them had only a partial view of the situation, and even combined, there is still plenty missing. Maybe she really does try to help Yuki, in her own way, spoke up Maria. I can only assume, but he wouldn't be too happy if something happened to Miku. But what? Yet Amy stopped mid-sentence. What can he do? Wanted to add, but it didn't fit anymore. It hurts to admit, but she cannot match either of them. Yuki silently watched all of them, took all the ridicule without a word, and still helped all he could. Amy? The sudden break in Amy's sentence worried Jane. Nothing, she continued. I agree with Maria. Belle wouldn't do anything to upset Yuki. Looking at Jane's puzzled gaze, she explained a bit more. I told you about the duel. I know Yuki doesn't have powers and all, but he's not who he appears to be. I'm more than certain Bale knows that and would tread carefully. So, everyone else is fair game? Asked Jane. You're talking things out of proportions, injected Miko. She's not a demon that came here to destroy everything. You think they would put someone like that here? No? I don't know. Better not to dig too deep, reminded them Miko. Whatever is going on, I'm sure people above know about it. Maybe you are right. While the girls tried to remove the sour taste with fancy treats, the uncertainty still lingered. At the same time, Yuki had a visitor of his own. Your friends are asking too many questions. The air in his room got thicker as the shaded figure emerged. You are? Asked Yuki. I'm just a messenger. Of course you are, poor thing, pitied him boy. From his reflection, Yuki could tell he was smaller and less imposing than the one he knew. Have you wondered yet why you were sent here and not someone else? It's not mine to decide where I'm needed. I agree, but neither is your master's anymore. Yuki stopped to wonder. He has no obligation to protect them, but siding with Bale isn't to his benefit just yet. The contract with me was a blunder, but I understand your goal and agree with it. To some extent, we are going the same direction, so why destroy what we have? The shadow was silent, watching his every move. Indifferent to what he spoke of, it's not his duty to act. It's not his duty to make any decision. What should I respond with? Many of you died already trying to reach me, but I wonder if to die is correct. Do not make any mistake. While I let you meet me, I also let many more perish, since it's not my responsibility. Our deal is based on trust, to some degree, and let's keep it that way. Trust that I will uphold my end, as I trust you not to interfere. As you wish. Wait, stopped Miyuki, as the shadow started to dissolve. If you leave now, you won't convey my message. You will not command me. He replied and fled. Smoke dissolved as his figure seeped from the apartment. Just wanted to be nice. Never mistake my kindness for care. He spoke to seemingly nobody and walked towards the door. Can I help you? He asked, opening the door, letting Bale fall in. Hi! She smiled with her eyes while looking around frantically. Where is your friend? What do you mean? That someone you talked to. She looked around, confused for a second, but shook it off quickly and hung onto his school uniform. Have you seen Gale anywhere? I can't find him. Why would I know where he is? Oh, because we are so close to one another, doing this and that. Your thoughts don't count as doing anything. Yuki shook his head. Are you worried about him? I was more worried about you. Gale is strong. I don't know if I could stop him if he saw you as a threat. Why would he view me as a threat? Maybe he's worried about me. Maybe he doesn't trust you or doesn't buy what you're trying to sell? She responded, acting all innocent, but she knew exactly what she meant. Just to be clear, Yuki cleared his throat. You are not trying to lure me into a dark place and use me as a bait for Gale, right? Why would I? You may not trust me, but my feelings are honest. I never want to see you sad again, even if that means helping her. Visibly disgusted, but it didn't seem like she was lying. I don't think he is doing something bad, but I also don't want him to get in trouble. So you think both of us can stop him if he might be doing something bad? I don't know. You are smart. Maybe with your help there won't be any need to stop him. If you are worried, that doesn't bode well. Leaving his apartment hand in hand, both of them started to walk towards the shopping center. Somehow Yuki knew exactly where to go, but wasn't sure if he wanted Bale to see it. Putting her in unnecessary danger wasn't his goal, but he also couldn't be sure she wasn't the danger either. It took them a few minutes to arrive, but it was apparent in an instant what had happened. The same field as during the practice spread in the alleyway where Miko was attacked by Seth. It was masking Gale's presence and preventing others from coming closer, making them feel uneasy. Both Bale and Yuki could see through it with ease. What is that? Asked Bale. It was a drone, replied Yuki coldly, looking straight into Gale's eyes, towering above a puddle of black mass. Looks like your brother is fine. What do you mean? Asked Bale as Yuki turned sharply and started to walk away. What is a drone? What is going on? Ask your brother. I would prefer to stay away from it as far as possible. Regardless, it's best if all of us leave the scene quickly. Yuki said and looked at Gale once again. The giant nodded in his direction, to which he responded likewise. A silent river breaks the bank, huh? He thought to himself. Wait! Bale quickly caught up to him and grabbed his arm. Since both of you know what is going on, why don't you explain it to me together? You could get close and maybe... Sorry, I already know what I need. A sentence that made Bale very displeased. You really want to talk to him. Gale has plenty to tell you. Leaving the siblings in the alley in the silent argument, Yuki went back to his apartment. What Bale was trying to achieve, no one could tell. It was interesting to see that Gale was the one who was constantly killing the shadows in the vicinity. Both of them had standard powers, and both were exceptional, yet one of them was lying. There was another empty hiding in the facility. Again, it's not my problem, as long as the extent of empty power is kept unknown. Yuki justified his reasoning. Diamond power could command every element and permutation. Metal powers like silver or gold covered solids, and crystals fluids. Where red could control flames, obsidian would expand to lava and such, while copper could superheat solids directly and keep them corporeal. So far, Belle fits in her spectrum, mostly enhancing her own ability, but also controlling other solid objects. Gale doesn't look like he is using his power at all, almost like he would be hiding them or didn't need them. He also didn't react with the catalyst like Yuki would, while Bale did because of her allergy. Bale had no reason to go after Miku, since she didn't care for her in the slightest. Gale, on the other hand, maybe he felt they were watching her, wanted to protect his sister from the shadow. He must have been the one who arranged everything. It fits the biodata Yuki found on that day, but still somehow didn't give him the full picture. Shadows will be wary to act now, both because of him and them. Yet any wrong move and it's 2 versus 1. None of that made any difference for Yuki, however. Whoever poses a threat to Miku or his plan will be dealt with. It was worth noting that open conflict was far from ideal. On the way to his flat, Yuki also made his move. Shadows claim they are invisible and see everything, yet Gale hunts them down with ease. It is also no secret that Yuki can trace them precisely if he wants to, composing a short message. Today I understood the nature of our complications. Walking through the streets, he kept on touching the buildings while he wrote the message. Well-being of your people is none of my concerns, but I will uphold all deal. I advised against any actions. It will complicate things further. There was no message anywhere, no trace of him ever doing anything, yet the information was sent. The last thing he or Shadows wants is an all-out fight here. After a while, Gale and Bay also left the alley and started to head back, but using a different path. Catching a glimpse of Miku sitting in the cafe, she waved with a cheerful expression to the girls. While they also waved back, it sparked a new conversation. See? It's like she's stalking you, said Amy. I'm sure there is another explanation for it, Miku responded, trying to look calm. You do you, but be careful, asked her Jane. This is another level of insane. I will. The next day after the lesson, students once again grabbed the catalyst and went underground. Bale was informed that the special catalyst will be ready after the weekend, so in 3 more days. It's fine. Those are for newbies anyway, she smirked. Yuki has been giving me extra lessons. I'm sure I will be fine, she said loud enough for everybody to hear. Is that so? Looking curious at Yuki, Miss Richards wondered how much they were keeping away from her. Yuki only shook his head and went towards the elevator. You are so cold. Wait for me, yelled Bale and caught up to him. Today was different, however. Everything turned into chaos almost instantly. Friday, so students were less focused on lessons and already thought about the weekends ahead. Playing with weapons and their influence led to a few accidents. First was Bale, who wanted to prove she didn't need any tools. Stepping up to the obelisk, she quickly overloaded it with influence, causing the first explosion of the day. Wind scattered through the area with sharp dust slicing through the air. What are you doing? Miss Richards came running to assess the damage to her students and the area. There was nothing left of the obelisk. What? Replied nonchalantly, but acting deaf Bale. I told you I didn't need a catalyst. Absolutely stunned, she didn't know how to respond to that. Not like she had any time to think about it anyway. Right after that, another explosion set massive boulders everywhere. Using her power and her pen, Miss Richards took out the vapor from the air near the flying rocks and slowed them down enough so they wouldn't hurt anyone and ran to the next emergency. Not to be outdone by his sister, Gale also obliterated his obelisk. Amy took that personally, dead set on giving her all today. As Miss Richards came close to them, her obelisk was engulfed by flames. Amy! She shouted, but it was too late. A massive wave of heat was unleashed as a burning tornado formed and covered the ceiling above them. Once again, using her power, she quelled the fire fast, but it was getting out of hand very quickly. Luckily, only a few students knew how to do that yet. Yuki was unmoved. Looking blankly at his tablet, he only shook his head as a thin trail of blood escaped his lips. Quickly after, Miss Richards gathered her pupils and started shouting at the three culprits. What's the issue? Asked oblivious Amy. It's not like anyone got hurt or anything. You wanted to scare us, but this place is plenty secure. I didn't try to scare you. There are no measures in here to prevent any injuries, Miss Richards yelled back. It's a miracle you are not burned to a crisp right now. Still shaking, slowly breathing in and out, she did everything she could to calm down. 3 of you are not going anywhere anymore. You will be sitting here with me until I decide what to do next. Bale, Gale, and Amy sat down next to Yuki while Miss Richards re-explained to her class how to train safely. Since I got detention, there is no helping in, right? Said cheerful Bale, snuggling into Yuki. As long as you don't cover the screen. Oh, you're so cold, winced Bale. Don't worry, my love will warm your heart. Get a room, taunted her Amy. I'm sorry, do you think learning how to walk means you can talk with adults? Growled all her Bale. You don't act like an adult, more like a spoiled brat, continued her provocation Amy. Breaking that obelisk isn't that big of a deal. I don't know what's that big fuss is about. Listen here, if you really think this is all I've got, I don't. I know it was easy and you can do so much more, but so can I. Cool, maybe talk to someone interested. Belle turned away and started to rub her face against Yuki's chest. You talk big, but you sound scared, laughed Amy. No, I'm just disgusted I have to share class with you, replied Belle, with calm, but she was getting angrier and angrier. How about a wager to test who is stronger, proposed the redhead. We have 4 more weeks of this training. After the next 3 weeks, let's do a capture the flag between our teams. We can settle our differences once and for all then. How about that? Pointless. To which Amy mocked her by clucking like a chicken. What's the bet? Bale replied through her gritted teeth. She fell right into her trap. If we win, you will stop clinging to Yuki in public, or at least in school, said Amy, smug, knowing her plan works well so far. Don't Yuki have anything to say in this? Both of them looked in his direction, as his face replied, Don't mix me into this. Thank you. Looks like he doesn't object. Fine, she finally agreed. Waste of time. Mumbling to herself, she continued after a second. If I win, you will. Yeah. She screamed in pain as Yuki pinched her side and started twisting the fold. Okay, then I have nothing else. You will. Gathering her thoughts, she massaged her rib area. No, I have nothing. Do whatever. That doesn't seem fair. Amy was truly surprised. She was fully expecting something humiliating, but guess she was wrong. Doesn't matter. You won't win. You will try your best and still be left behind. You are so full of yourself. You forgot it's 4 versus 2. All I hear is a lot of barking, but I don't see any teeth to bite with. Going back and forth, Belle forgot about Yuki, almost bashed heads with Amy. Friday in 3 weeks. I will crush you and won't even have fun. Humph, snorted Belle angrily. I'll make the arrangements. Amy ended and leaned back, relaxed. Was it smart to poke a hornet's nest? The future will tell. Amy was serious, though. She wanted a real rematch with Belle, and no half measures. She needed to see how far behind she was, but she also had a plan for how to deal with her. Yuki gave her a solid idea, and while the technology wasn't useful anymore, it fit perfectly against her. How Belle acted was very impolite and nauseating, but for them, most importantly, it was about Miku. Both about them not being in her face, and to create an excuse for her and Yuki to get closer. Separating Belle from him during the match will be the easiest part of it all. The rest of the class spread to the areas once again, and Miss Richard came back to the tree. Looking at Yuki, she started connecting the dots. He felt weak when Miku had the accident in the pod, exploded in her lab, and a few hours later Seth was found comatose with his friends. Now he bled, but everything else exploded. Guess she should thank him later. As for you three, she directed her anger towards the culprits. I will have to write a report about this situation. Since it's all your first trouble, I can ask for lighter punishment, but only if you promise to be careful next time. She tried to act tough, but none of them took her seriously. The rest of the lesson passed quietly. Maria and Jade also built the pillar, this time without explosions. The class was making fast progress, but still, the way they had to go was far and steep. Even Miss Richards had homework to study. As the instructor dumped the entire education on her shoulders, she had to learn many military-related things. Give me a minute, said Amy as she split from her friends and ran up to Yuki. Hey, do you have a moment? What do you want? Bale met her eyes with bloodthirsty hers. I just wanted to ask for a favor. She smiled politely and moved her head around to look at Yuki. Would you maybe have some free time this weekend? She muttered the sentence. Very awkward. To some degree she was ashamed and embarrassed. I was thinking maybe you could help me learn more about the influence. Hey, that's cheating! He's on my team! Yelled Bale. Sure, Yuki responded with a warm smile. Let me know when you want to meet. Sure, I will mail you later. Thank you very much. Amy spoke fast with excitement, doing a quick and shallow bow with her hand, and ran back to the girls. You know I can make you not help her, right? Looked at him angry Bale. You can, but what difference does it make? I'm not going to give her any answer. Only help her with her idea. Hmm, growled Bale. I guess you are right. There is no way they are winning this. Yuki didn't have to think about it. Amy wanted a rematch with Bale, and so the match won't end until it's settled. Her request was to make Bale be serious, yet without even knowing how serious she can be. Bale, on the other hand, while she got heated in the moment, didn't pay it any mind. It was a momentary inconvenience that irritated her. She was faster, stronger, more adept at using influence and had better set of them. There was no doubt she would win. What was that about? Asked Jane. Oh, nothing. I just asked Yuki for a bit of help with our training. While leading her friends out of the school, they suddenly stopped, stunned. You mean you asked him for help? Said the green-haired girl, staring at her wide-eyed. I did? Confirmed Amy, uncertain of Jane's surprise. I thought there was no shame in asking for help once in a while. No, there is none, but it's very out of character for you. In a good way, of course, said Miko, closing Jane's mouth. I just thought does know a lot about influence and stuff. If I don't ask him for help, I wouldn't be able to say I prepared the best I could, you know? Prepare for what? Asked both girls in unison. All right, you don't know yet. Amy grinned with both joy and excitement. Pointing her finger at Miko, she continued. In 3 weeks, we'll be your enemies. She explained briefly what she did and her plan. Before the lessons ended, she asked Miss Richards about it, and while she was strongly opposed to it, knew well it would be approved if she asked anyone else. Mm-hmm. Just one question, responded Jane after a long moment of silence. Are you mad? She screamed at her friend. You don't have to yell, I'm right here, said Amy, still grinning. What if she goes after you? You said so yourself that you cannot match her. What were you thinking? You're panicking over nothing. Trust me, I have it planned. Smug and proud of herself, she puffed her chest, put her hands on her hips, and continued. She won't do anything before, as that would prevent her from crushing me, or so she said. I think I have a decent idea how to stop her. We'll see in a bit. Okay, but why drag the rest of us into it? Asked Miko. Well, that upcoming training will be team-based, so it's easier to push for something in line with that. Pretty sure duel would also work fine, but figure that I can also do something for the two of you. She nodded her head suggestively. Me and? Asked confused, but also curious Miku. You and Yuki, of course. I will keep bail out of your faces at least for a while. Miku smiled politely and wanted to brush it off. I don't need it. I'm fine. We are good. But before she could, Amy chimed back in. Not doing this only for you. Pretty sure he's also tired at this point. But that doesn't mean we cannot do it, right? Asked Jane inconspicuously. It can be arranged, Amy responded and shared a smile with Jane. You guys are starting to scare me, confirmed slightly worried Miko, but her friend just laughed it off. It will be fine, pat her on the back, Amy. You don't have to do anything except participate in the exercise. Leave the rest to us. Disoriented by what both of them were planning, Miko let it go. They wouldn't do anything to harm her and had unwavering trust in them. Her problems were always solved by other people who knew better, maybe even knew her own feelings better than she did. Even while being closed off and keeping to yourself, people around you have a different perspective. Situation didn't change, emotions didn't change, nothing changed but the output and solution. Small things you may never noticed, a twitch, crooked smile, a lower voice. Things you didn't think are visible are broadcast to those who care. Thinking for a bit longer, joking around on the way to the apartments, friends finally split before their homes. Jane and Miku went on with their days, planning the rest of the weekends, while Amy made arrangements with Yuki. Well, she did usually leave very early in the night, slightly before you could even consider it a morning. She had to make sure he was comfortable with it too. Yuki, on the other hand, went to the library with Bale. His feelings didn't change, he cared about Miko greatly, but he aimed bigger now. For what he needed to achieve, there was no space for his feelings left. Yet he made a conscious choice to spend time with her. Bale became a necessary part of his plan to save Miko. Yes, it was cruel and unfair, but maybe there was another reason hiding in plain sight. Maybe he really does hope she can save him, while he saves others. Who knows? At this point he doesn't even know, the more distance to the reality he grows with each passing day. The plan settled. Yuki will meet her at the forest entrance around 5 a.m. Amy will do her standard running warm-up on the way there so they can go straight to business. You are fine with this? Asked Yuki. Why wouldn't I be? Bale replied softly, dropping the facade for a moment. However I act, I really, really care about you. You are your own person, you can make choices, but me being clingy to irritate others doesn't change that. Going back to her usual self in a heartbeat, she continued. Also, messing with you is fun, so if I ask you to step back, no. She silenced him with a finger. You owe me. If you want something from me, I will also be taking something from you. Even if it's one-sided for now. That's fair. He smiled warmly with understanding. As much as he tried to fake the warmth, she could tell something wasn't right. Whether she could do anything about it, or what she was afraid of, was she too late? None of that will change anything at this point. Her mind and heart were dead set on her one and only goal. Everything all right? He asked, feeling her ever-growing worry. While still not admitting it for various reasons, their relationship quickly upgraded into an awkwardly close friendship. Of course! Why wouldn't it be? Bale replied innocently, looking straight into his screen-locked eyes. Yet, although she was getting closer, she also felt the growing distance between them. Guilt and regret of all the time lost already only made her resolve stronger. She knows well how it feels to be alone against the world. Silence flooded their dimension. It was awkward, unnerving, but also peaceful and healing, perfectly defining their dynamic. Comfortable and warm, yet fragile and uncertain. The rest of the afternoon and evening went by in this weird state between emotions. Walking together back to the apartments in silence, they parted ways only before the doors.